Welcome to this demo. Today we're going to upgrade vCenter from 6.5 to 6.7 in the Oracle Cloud VMware Solution. Prerequisite to notate is that lockdown mode is normal by default, so we need to disable that on your target ESXi host. We need to have DRS settings set to manual or partial auto. We need to have a vCenter backup or a snapshot. And here's the link to download the appliance. This is a two-stage upgrade process. Stage one, we'll be deploying the 6.7 OVA. And then in stage two, we'll actually configure the appliance and import the old data. And keep in mind, towards the end of stage two is when there will be a slight downtime for vCenter as the new appliance takes over. So let's get started. Okay, so I have the 6.7 ISO mounted, and then let's get started with the upgrade here. So we've got the IP address here for vCenter, administrator at vCenter.local, and then I've got my password entered twice. Again, I've got the IP address for vCenter, and then we're going to enter administrator at vCenter.local again. Okay, so the ESXi host that we're going to be deploying it to, or the vCenter IP address, vCenter appliance IP address, you can enter that there. And you can pick any folder you want here. This is just your purposes there. Compute resources. So you can see a little lock on both of these, and that means that they have lockdown mode enabled still. I've only disabled it on the first one for this demo purpose. And then I'm going to name this just whatever I want. I'm using the same passwords, but again, you can do whatever you want there. The deployment size is set to medium by default. Just keep in mind the number of CPUs and memory and storage hosts based on what your needs are. I'm going to have thin mode enabled. And so by default, VDS01-vSphere is the name of the network that the vCenter appliance lives on. And we'll be using a IP address I've already predetermined which IP address I'm going to use. It is a /25 that I have set up here. So some of these things are prerequisites that you need to know. And if you're having trouble finding that information, you can go into your vCenter and just go into the appliance console and log in and see what your current settings are. Okay, and this is ready to complete stage one. We'll return whenever this is completed and continue with stage two. Okay, so we've completed stage one. Now, before we hit continue, if you do not want to continue into stage two at this time, you can hit close and you can resume. And what you have to do is just go to the IP address of your new appliance that you're deploying, and it will automatically take you back to the setup screen for stage two. Okay, we're going to go ahead and continue with stage two. So let's connect, get this completed. Just doing some pre-upgrade checks. Okay, so the pre-upgrade finally completed, the pre-upgrade check. Just so you'll notate here, it'll give you warnings, just so you know, some of the extensions need to be re-registered. Any updates in VUM that will not work with 6.7 will also be notated here. For our purposes, these are just warnings. They're not going to be roadblockers. You can select whatever amount of data that you want to bring over from your old vCenter. This is a completely empty vCenter, so I'm not going to bring anything over. But most people pick the configuration and historical data without some of the performance metrics that because they typically have another product that does that, like VROPS. And for our purposes, everything is ready to go. The only thing you have to do is check this box saying that you have a backup of vCenter. So let's go ahead and complete this. And this is your warning that it's going to be shut down towards the end and there will be a slight downtime. So I'm going to hit OK and let this continue. And I'm going to pause the video until this is completed. Okay, we're back now. Stage 2 is complete. And this is just letting you know that the TLS 1.0 and 1.1 is disabled now, and it's also letting you know if you're running auto deploy that you need to change your DHCP TFTP settings, which none of this is going to apply to us here. So we can hit close, and I'm actually Google Chrome, and let's see if we can connect. So now we connect, and as we can tell, we are on 6.7 now. So we go look at our virtual machines. Here is the original vCenter in the management vApp, and then here is 6.7. So I would probably move that over here into management so it doesn't get you confused. I mean, because if you're running, 50, hundreds, a couple hundred VMs, you don't want that to get lost in your workload. So that's really it, and that's the end of it. We are now running on 6.7, and we can continue on with everything else that we need to do. There's some after checks that you're going to probably want to do here. You're going to want to go into the cluster, go through these alarms, and most of these alarms were presented because of the vCenter reboot. So we'll just reset those to green, and then just keep an eye on it. And one follow-up item, we'll want to make sure to have the lockdown mode re-enabled on the one that you disabled. So that's right here. Just change it back to normal. And that's it. All right. Thanks. Thanks, guys. Bye. Hello, and welcome to this demo. Today we're going to be talking about upgrading ESXi from 6.5 to 6.7 in Oracle Cloud VMware Solution. One of your prerequisites is that vCenter should already be running 6.7. At the very least, it needs to be running a version higher than the ESXi hosts that you're trying to manage. You should already have the 6.7 ISO file downloaded, and let's talk about the DRS rules. So if you have an environment that only has 3 hosts, you are going to need to take into consideration DRS rules for the NSXT appliances. Because there are 3 appliances, you wouldn't be able to put a host into maintenance mode if there are only 3, because you'll be violating that rule. So you'll just want to go in there and take note and disable the rule right there. I have 4 hosts in my cluster, so I don't need to do that. So 3 of my hosts are already updated to 6.7, as you can see here. Demo 4 is not updated, it is still running 6.5. So let me show you how to update that. It's the same as you would do it in an on-prem environment. We'll just go into the Update Manager Home, upload or import an ESXi 6.7 ISO. And what we need to do now is create a new baseline for this. And make sure your content shows that it's an upgrade, not a patch or an extension. Okay, that's completed. And we'll just go on to this host that we're going to update. Go to Updates. And we need to attach the baseline we just created. Okay, once that's complete, we can check that baseline and hit remediate. The pre-check takes only about a few seconds. And as you notate here, HA admission control will be disabled as part of this process. And it will be re-enabled at the end when it's completed. And so we're just going to hit remediate. And I'm going to pause the video here until the host updates and reboots and comes back. It'll be about 15 minutes before that completes. Okay, guys, we're back. The host has completed its update process and it has automatically exited maintenance mode. If we go over to the updates tab, you can now see the baseline right here is showing compliant. And we can see that this is on ESXi 6.7 now. So we can also go up to the cluster and check the vCenter health. And if you look at all the virtual objects, you'll see that all of the objects are showing healthy. That's it for today, guys. Stay tuned for the next demo. Thank you.